Welcome to Dateline Schools, a presentation of the St. Clair County Regional Educational Service Agency, with your host, Terry Harrington.
Welcome to Dateline Schools. In this edition of Dateline Schools, we'll introduce you to the one person who is in charge of public education in the state of Michigan, the Superintendent of Public Instruction, Mr. Michael Flanagan. We'll learn what is the state of education here in Michigan, where's our public education system heading, and what do we need to do to turn it around. But before we begin our conversation with Mr. Flanagan, let's tune in to this Education Update with Lisa Steinborn.
Thank you, Terry. Fun and learning at the Pine River Nature Center doesn't stop when the school year ends. In July and August, students enrolled in the center's Nature Club will explore the forest, trails, and rivers on the center's grounds. They'll also study trees, plants, insects, birds, reptiles, amphibians, and mammals. Students in grades 1 through 6 will have Nature Club meetings 1 day a week for 7 weeks. Club activities include hands-on investigations and making crafts. The Nature Center is adjacent to the Goodalls County Park in Wales Township. It is owned and operated by the St. Clair County RESA. For more information about the summer offerings at the Nature Center and to register, go to the RESA website at www.SCCRESA.org. With so many tech students headed to the National Skills USA competition, officials are always looking for ways to finance participation. Recently, Tech held a car show on the campus in Marysville. The event was well attended and raised more than $2,000 to offset competition costs. The show featured cars in categories such as restorations, hot rods, tuners, and muscle cars. Entrants were also eligible to win trophies for various classes of vehicles. Due to the event's success, Tech officials are planning to make the car show an annual event. Members of RESA's Education Technology Department have been nominated for a Michigan Emmy Award. Sue Rakowski and Chad Kubik were nominated in the Nostalgia Documentary category for a project named Port Huron's Pioneers of Medicine, which was produced in partnership with the St. Clair County Medical Society and the Port Huron Museum. The documentary chronicles 4 doctors who practiced in Port Huron and made significant contributions to the medical field. The Michigan Emmys are presented to recognize excellence in the television industry. The Education Technology Department was also nominated in 2006. The awards ceremony will be held in June at the Royal Oak Music Theater. To see Port Huron's Pioneers of Medicine, go to the Education Technology Department's page on the RESA website. Teachers aren't the only ones who can use summer days to further their learning. Students need to keep their minds sharp to avoid what education researchers call the summer slide, which refers to the loss of academic skills when students are no longer in the classroom. You can help keep your children's brains working by taking them to your local library. The library has something to offer all kids regardless of their interests, and chances are you'll find something you enjoy too. For other ways to reinforce summer learning, look into programs offered by the schools or search the internet for ideas. And finally, although summer has just started, it's not too early to plan for the fall. Mark Tuesday, September 7th on your calendar. It's the first day of school for the 2010-2011 school year in St. Clair County. Labor Day this year is Monday, September 6th. School starts bright and early the day after. I hope your summer has been a good one so far. I'm Lisa Steinborn. Terry Harrington and Dateline Schools will return in a moment.
Welcome back to Dateline Schools. On this edition of Dateline Schools, we're going to get a first-hand update on the state of education here in Michigan. My special guest joining us through video conferencing from his office in Lansing is the top leader for education here in the state of Michigan, the Superintendent of Public Instruction, Mr. Michael Flanagan. Mr. Flanagan, thank you for joining us today.
Yes, sir. Nice to be with you, Terry.
Mr. Flanagan, can you just kind of explain to us what is the role of the Superintendent of Public Instruction for Michigan?
First of all, feel free to call me Mike. That's the best name I'm called often.
Okay.
So I'll take that. My role, I was a local superintendent. I was an ISD superintendent. I headed the Superintendent's Association for a few years. But in this role, we basically in the department, we together with the State Board of Education, lead the policy issues of Michigan education. We were responsible for getting through the legislature the new high school requirements a few years ago as an example. I issue seat time waivers with my authority as a state superintendent as example that we did with Dan DeGrow in the intermediate district there. You know, we have some oversight responsibilities. There aren't as much fun. We want to work towards student achievement and how to get kids to higher levels of achievement. So the compliance issues sometimes aren't as much fun, but they're important, you know, to make sure that there are accurate counts on number of kids in a district because all the state aid money goes around that, things of that nature.
Okay, great. I know one thing too, you've been going around the state a lot, and I've had the privilege of hearing you speak at a couple of events around the state. I don't want to say use the word cheerleader for districts, but you're really promoting education here in Michigan. And one of the things you've mentioned is we need to make some bold changes. Have we been starting to get some of those bold changes made? And give me one or two of examples of that.
I think we have. I mean, you know, I mentioned it already, but we needed to change the culture that you could be a high school dropout, you know the deal, and get a job on the line and everything would be fine. I think we've made a big dent in that with the high school requirements. I was with kids yesterday because I announced the Teacher of the Year in Grand Ledge nearby here and went up to her classroom. And you know, you get some funny looks when they tell you that, well, this is one of the guys kind of responsible for you having to take algebra now. But we're not going to be able to compete with the Chinese and the Indians and the rest if we don't. I mean, we're just at a point where that's an example of a bold change. Now, having said that, the thing that districts have to do is understand that with reform laws that were put in place and signed by the governor in January, the whole game has changed. I mean, I guess game changer is a common word, but it was. It's all about student achievement. Hopefully it's not all about just test scores with student achievement. There's formative assessments, there's teachers' evaluations and testing. But basically, you know, it isn't about whether your football team wins. That's nice icing on the cake. It is about, are our kids achieving at high levels? Are we making sure we're not giving up on some kids just because either they're poor or traditionally they haven't performed? And that's the bold stuff we need to do. And then maybe just one other example would be the seat time waivers. I mean, we're trying to look at other options where there are kids up in St. Clair. I just read something coincidentally from a student that I think it's the St. Clair Academy, which is the one that's more online. Mm-hmm. And she gives a heartfelt, the letter is just a beautiful letter that describes how she was not making it in a traditional school, and she's thriving in this school, particularly since it works around her time and work necessities because of her family situation. So those are examples of some bold moves, I think.